Hello and welcome to this week's episode. Now, today I'm going to be talking about different ways of driving traffic to your products. Now, this can be used for whether you sell on Amazon, whether you do socials, or whether you purely sell through your own website or Etsy, all the different things. There are lots of things you can do to generally drive traffic to your listings, which of course is what we want because the more eyes on our products, the more sales we're going to make. So let's dive in and have a little chat about the different ways you can get traffic coming into your listings. Okay, so one of the main ones that I do is what I call link backs. Now, link backs are little breadcrumbs that you leave around the internet that tell people where they can directly go to buy your products. So for example, one of my main link backs for my Astronaut soft toy products, my Amazon listings, is I have a Pinterest account that's linked to that business. And what I do is I do a bit of dabbling with Pinterest every now and again, not that often to be fair, but I do. But every time I post on Pinterest, I make sure that whatever the topic is on that pin, it links back directly to my Amazon listing, because as you know, Amazon is where I sell most of my products. I do have a website and I do sell on socials, but my main revenue driver is Amazon. So that's where I want to put all the links back to, hence the phrase link backs. Now, I've found over the years that Pinterest can be a huge traffic driver. I've given an example, I think in one of my reels, of a pin that I posted, gosh, it must have been about maybe 6 years ago now. And bear in mind, I've been in this business for more than 10 years. But so 6 years ago, I pinned a really, really basic pin. It was a little video of a couple of my astronauts. I'd mocked it up on Canva, and it was just them sailing across the ocean under a night sky. It's a very, very simple concept, nothing flashy at all. But I did a link back to one of my Amazon, I think it was a US, my American listings. So one very specific listing that I've got, I didn't link it back to my whole storefront, which by the way you can also do, but I linked this particular one back to my bestseller. It's the Blue Astronaut, he's the bestseller, and I linked it back to my US listing of him. And since then, I've had like literally thousands and thousands and thousands of views coming from that. You can check it all in your analytics through, well, you can check it on Amazon and you can check your Pinterest analytics. Like I said, I've got a reel on my Instagram account about this. And I didn't really know that this was happening for a couple of years, to be honest. I just posted it, didn't pay too much attention to Pinterest. I was highly focused on Amazon. And then one day I did go in and I checked my Pinterest and I thought, God, there's a lot of traffic coming from this one post. And the good thing about Pinterest is that it's an algorithm. It's not social media. So your post doesn't disappear after 24 hours or it doesn't sort of get lost amongst everything. It stays relevant for a really, really long time. Like I said, with this example of mine, I think it must have been about 6 years ago I pinned this particular pin. And so every now and again I do that. So anyway, when I did discover that all this traffic was coming from this link back of Pinterest, I thought, okay, if this is working, what else can I do to do this, to rinse and repeat? Obviously, I've done more on Pinterest to try and recreate the same thing, and that has worked really well as well. And it's a really good way of building your business. But I thought, what else can I do to drive more traffic? I want to look into this. I want to deep dive into finding out more ways of getting traffic rather than just relying on Amazon itself and the natural traffic that they have, and advertising. I wanted to sort of discover what other avenues I can get loads and loads of traffic. And also with Amazon, the way the algorithm works, part of it is if you drive outside traffic onto the Amazon platform, your listings and your shop front will be rewarded, because Amazon obviously love it when you bring more outside customers to their platform. So it's a win-win really. You are not only getting more eyes on your own products, but you are looking very favourable to the Amazon algorithm. Now this can work with your website as well, but because I'm an Amazon expert, we will be talking mainly about how this can help your Amazon listings. So yeah, Pinterest is a great one. I'd highly recommend it. When you start your business, just open up a basic Pinterest account and just get pinning. It doesn't have to be anything flashy, it doesn't have to be anything professional. Like I said, this one that I randomly threw up 6 years ago was very, very basic. I think I did it on Canva, and it's very basic, but it's actually been an absolute cash cow. It's a winner. So anyway, back to it. So other ways we can drive traffic. Now, obviously, a big one is adverts and advertising. I've got a whole podcast about advertising. I've got a couple of reels on my Instagram account about advertising because it's got to be done really properly. You really have to do advertising correctly or it can go really, really pear-shaped and wrong. Like I said, I've got a podcast all about my mistakes that I've made in advertising. This is on and off Amazon, by the way. But if you can figure out how to advertise correctly for your products and your business, it can be an absolute game changer. So Amazon have an in-house advertising system that you can use. And once you've mastered that, it can absolutely drive traffic to your website and to your Amazon listings. But please tread carefully, proceed with caution, because you need to know what you're doing really, because like I've said on my previous podcast about when I first started more than 10 years ago on Amazon, I made a big mistake with my advertising and just the budget just ran out of control. And I really highly encourage people, and I teach my clients how to advertise properly and not to allow budgets to just escape and run away with them, because it can be really disheartening and cost a fortune like it did those years ago for me. But anyway, that's another story. And we learn, don't we? We learn from it. And now because of that, I know exactly how to advertise, because I vowed never to allow my budgets to run wild on any kind of advertising platform again. So yeah, you've got to see the silver linings in these business mistakes, don't you? So what else have I got here? So adverts on Amazon, great if you know what you're doing. Adverts off Amazon also. You can use adverts to do the link backs that I was just talking about, link backs to your Amazon listings or to your website. But again, proceed with caution with adverts. Get someone in to help you with them if you're really unsure. At the moment, I've been learning over the last couple of years about meta ads. That's a whole minefield in itself, but I've been learning from an expert who knows what they're doing, so I can then use that in my own business. And once you've done it and mastered it, it's great. It's fabulous. It's a really good way of getting your brand out there, getting more people to see your products. So advertising, it's one of those methods that it can be game changing for your business as long as you do it correctly. That's what I'll say about advertising. Now, driving traffic to your products and your listings, this is what this chat's all about. Now, the next one is, it's kind of obvious, it's building your audience. And I say that kind of with a pinch of salt because that it's so obvious, but it's so hard to do. Like most of us here, well, we're all on Instagram and we all know how difficult it is to build an audience, don't we? It can be really hard. And for this side, my coaching side of the business, not my product business on Amazon, I've hired an expert to help me try and learn more about Instagram because it's not my area of expertise. But as you build your audience, that will naturally get more people to sort of see what you're doing, see what your products are, what you're about. But, and this is another good thing about Amazon, is they have a ready-made audience and it's the biggest in the world. So it's kind of, to me, when I talk to clients who are a bit hesitant to go on Amazon, it's kind of a no-brainer. Amazon have built themselves up to be this huge online shopping platform that we all know, and it's everywhere around the world, pretty much. It's expanding constantly around the world. I sell in 15 countries around the world at the moment, and they're just building and building. But if you're having trouble building an audience on social media and you have a product business, I would highly recommend Amazon purely for the audience and purely to get your brand out there. If you optimize everything on your listings correctly, you will highly target the exact shoppers who are looking for your exact product. Now that's a completely different podcast, talk, chat, whatever, but there are so many ways you can work with the algorithm to build this up. But the point of this is that if you're wanting a huge audience to sell your products, Amazon's the biggest in the world, so why wouldn't you do that? And why wouldn't you learn how to do that properly? Okay, next one I've got on my list here is reviews and why they're important. Again, reviews on Amazon help the algorithm boost everything, your whole account, and it's great, but they're really hard to get. I always refer back to the way I shop on Amazon, and I consciously try and leave feedback and reviews for other small businesses, but sometimes you're busy, you forget, and you think, oh, you just haven't got time to do it. I get that completely, and that's why it's so thdifficult to get reviews, but they're so important because it kind of justifies to other shoppers that your products are great and they're worth buying, but it also signifies to the Amazon algorithm, again, this is what we're always working towards, pleasing the algorithm. Reviews show the algorithm that you're a worthy store and you've got a good account, you've got good products. So no matter how hard they are to obtain, once you do get them, they are really good. That's why it's so important to have great customer service, even if you hand that over to Amazon, your whole branding, everything needs to be really top notch, because those reviews are so crucial, first for other customers, to encourage them to buy from you, but also to feed the algorithm as well. There are little tips and tricks you can do to encourage your customers to leave you feedback. And one thing on this I will say is, whatever you do not get friends and family to buy your product just to leave you a review. It's a no-no. Don't do that. The algorithm will find out. I don't know how they do it, but they will find out. I've had a client before who got their friend in a different town to them to do exactly that, to leave feedback. And I think once prior to doing that, they'd sent a parcel to that friend's house. So there was a link, a very tedious link between the two of them, but Amazon did pick up on that and they got into a little bit of bother about that. So it's a big no-no. It's Amazon asks that you don't do that, so we don't do that. That's a little aside to this whole chat anyway. So reviews again on your website or Google, however you get your reviews. It's not just on Amazon. Any kind of reviews are good and they feed whichever algorithm you are working on. Obviously, we want good reviews, not bad ones. Bad ones we don't want, but good reviews. As most of you do know, I also have a couple of Airbnb businesses because I'm really into having lots of different revenue streams, investments, all that kind of thing. And Airbnb is exactly the same. You need to go above and beyond for your customer and encourage them highly to leave you a really good review. And the more reviews you stack up on Airbnb, the more Airbnb will push your listings out to people who they think will come and stay at your properties, at one of your properties. So it's the same thing. It's not just, reviews are not just for Amazon, it's across the board. Most businesses nowadays, I would say, are probably online businesses, so this is relevant for most businesses. Reviews, that's another way of driving traffic to your products. Okay, now what also I would say, driving traffic, there's so many different things you can do, like the ones I've just discussed. But there are things like Etsy, that's another good one to try. Not as big as Amazon by any means, but it's another revenue stream. It's another way of driving traffic to or seeing your products. And all this will kind of have a snowball effect as you have all these revenue streams, all these link backs, all these different ways of selling your products. Eventually you'll get to a point where everything kind of snowballs and suddenly your brand becomes a brand. It's kind of hard to explain, but I can see this on my Amazon analytics. So Amazon have loads of really great reporting that you can look at. So I've been running my Amazon soft toy business now for more than 10 years. And in the last, let's say, 7 or 8 years, I've noticed a huge increase in organic traffic looking for my brand name, which is Stalklings. It's just gone massive. So what that tells me is that the brand itself is becoming recognisable. People are seeing it. For example, if one of their friends has got one of my soft toys, they'll see on the labelling, oh, Stalklings, I'm going to look for that actual word rather than looking for a generic astronaut soft toy. They will actually be looking for my brand. So all these different ways of driving traffic is also a really good way of really building your brand. You might not see it for years, but it will be happening behind the scenes. It can be really disheartening at first, don't get me wrong. I know all about that because my business was in the beginning stages 10 years ago, and I know I get it completely. But trust me, behind the scenes, all these different algorithms, Etsy, Amazon, Instagram, Facebook, they're all kind of working in the background, and gradually, if you can give your customers a great product and a great experience, then they will all come together and continually be building your brand for you. So that's why it's really important. Even if you don't see direct results immediately, it's really, really important to have all these different ways of selling. And I'm really big on revenue streams. I do have like a mini course about revenue streams and all these different ways of bringing in money from all different places. And then once you've got to a point in one business, you can then do what I do and set up another business and then set up another business. So at the moment, I've got my Amazon soft toy business. And then also I have this business where I coach other businesses how to sell on Amazon properly. But then I've also got my Airbnb businesses. So over the years they've built up. It wasn't like that in the beginning though, don't get me wrong. It was a struggle, like everybody, financially, burnout, the whole lot. But as I said, I've been doing this bit of the business for more than 10 years. And prior to that, I had another business. So please don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 5. That's kind of a good analogy. But just trust in the process that whatever you're doing now will snowball. You just have to be patient and you've got to be persistent. Anyway, I digress. I always digress, but I go off on tangents all the time, but I've just got so much that I need to say to help people. So yeah, I'll bring this to a close now, but basically this episode is about driving traffic to your listings, to your products, whether it's on Amazon. But like I said, because I'm an Amazon expert, it's my area of expertise. I know how to do this. So have a think about all the different places online that you could possibly link back. If you've got a blog on your own website, for example, you could put little links in there to your Amazon listing. Great way to feed the Amazon algorithm there. If you send emails out to people, you must have an email list. That's another thing. I'm going to do a whole episode on email lists. So if you don't have one, get one, start one, and I will be doing a podcast episode on email lists. But if you have an email list, put link backs on there. Just dot them around everywhere. It's like little breadcrumbs. Leave little breadcrumbs all over the internet, and eventually they'll all come together. And yeah, so that's really what I've got to say. And I hope you've enjoyed it. And my Amazon training program is open at the moment, Scale and Sell. We've got loads of really great businesses in there. I love seeing the variety of businesses that a lot of them in the last couple of intakes have kind of thought, oh, Amazon's not for me. But it is, it absolutely is. Some of the brands that I'm working with at the moment are just so great. Yes, they're very small brands, but they are so professional and beautiful and great. And they're really just storming on Amazon. So yeah, if you're interested, look it up, Scale and Sell. We are in there working, doing the do. You get one-to-one with me or one of my team. I've got a little team that helps me every now and again. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that, and I will speak to you soon.